The stars were full of voices, old, powerful, and cold. Among them sat the Galactic Council, a gathering of alien species that had ruled the skies for thousands of years. They made decisions about who was allowed into their club of spacefaring civilizations. Earth had been trying to join for nearly a decade. Today was supposed to be different. On the edge of the grand chamber, standing alone, was Ethan Cole. He was 32, with short brown hair and tired eyes. He wore a dark suit and tried not to look nervous. He wasn't a soldier or a scientist. He was a diplomat, one of the few humans ever invited to speak at the council floor. Around him floated beings of all shapes and sizes. Some hovered in anti-grav chairs. Others stood on thick legs or slithered across the floor. None of them looked impressed. A deep voice echoed through the chamber. It came from the council speaker, a tall being called Virexka, leader of the reptilian Virexians. "Humans," he hissed, his long tongue flicking out. "They ask for membership again. What do we say?" A chorus of voices answered, most of them dismissive. One floating jellyfish-like alien pulsed with light as it spoke. "They are too young. Their ships are weak. Their weapons are toys." Another voice came from a mechanical being shaped like a spider. "Their wars are loud but small. They fight only themselves. They have no place among us." Ethan stepped forward. His hands were shaking, but he kept his face calm. "Thank you for hearing me," he said, his voice steady. "Earth has come a long way. We've built ships. We've explored our solar system. We've sent missions beyond Mars. We want peace. We want to learn. Please, give us a chance." Silence followed. Then laughter, low, guttural, and cruel. Virexka leaned forward. "You think peace makes you strong? Strength comes from war, from battle, from survival." He turned to the others. "This one speaks well, but where is the proof? Show me one moment where your kind faced real danger. One moment where you fought like warriors." Someone else added, "If you cannot prove your place, stop wasting our time." Ethan swallowed hard. He knew what they meant. They didn't care about diplomacy. They didn't care about science or culture. They wanted blood, proof that humans could fight, not just with fists or old guns, but with warships, strategy, and fire. "We have served in joint missions," Ethan said. "We have helped rebuild stations. We have protected trade routes." Virexka snorted. "Helped? Yes. Led? Never." Another alien, a tall insectoid with clicking mandibles, added, "You cry for peace while hiding behind others. Until you bleed like we did, you are not ready." The room filled with agreement. Lights blinked. Limbs waved. Sounds rumbled. And then the vote came. The screen above lit up. Red lights outnumbered green ones by far. Denied. Again. Ethan stared at the screen. His heart sank. As he walked out of the chamber, the last thing he heard was Virexka's voice. "Come back when you have something real to show us." The cold light of the station hallway hit Ethan Cole as he stepped out of the council chamber. Behind him, the heavy doors closed with a deep hum, sealing away the voices of the aliens who had just rejected humanity again. His chest felt tight. His suit felt heavier than before. He walked slowly through the corridor, past alien guards and floating drones. None of them looked at him twice. To them, he was just another failed human trying to get into a club that wasn't built for his kind. Back on Earth, the diplomatic team waited for news. When Ethan finally called, his face showed everything they needed to know. They said no, he told them. No surprise. No outrage. Just tiredness. His boss, a woman named Marilyn Cruz, sighed. What reason did they give this time? Ethan shook his head. They want proof, real combat footage, something that shows we can fight like them. Marilyn leaned back in her chair. You're telling me we have to show those aliens how violent we can be, just to get a seat at their table? That's what they want, Ethan said. After the call ended, he sat alone in his small room on the space station. He stared at the stars outside. They seemed colder now, farther away. Later that night, he got a message. Unknown sender. No name. Attached. Only a short note. There is footage. Curious, he opened the file. It was old, grainy, shaky, but real. It showed a battle from years ago, 2 human fleets fighting above Ceres Station, ships exploding, fighters diving through, debris, screams over comms. It wasn't clean. It wasn't proud, but it was war. The message came again. If you want more, come to New Mexico. Ask for Lena Morales. The next day, Ethan booked a flight home. He didn't tell anyone where he was going. He only knew one thing. He had found something real. And if the council wanted blood, maybe this was the way to give it to them. Meanwhile, on the edge of Albuquerque, in a quiet neighborhood near the desert, Lena Morales sat on her porch drinking coffee. She was 52 with gray hair tied back and eyes that had seen too much. She watched the sky most mornings, wondering if the aliens ever looked down and saw people like her. Not politicians, not soldiers, just regular humans trying to live. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I need to talk to you about the series recording. She read it once, then again. She smiled slightly. Looks like someone finally remembered us, she said to herself. She stood up, set her cup down, and went inside. There were things to prepare, people to find, and a war story that had been buried for too long. The desert wind blew hard as Ethan Cole stepped off the small shuttle in New Mexico. The sky was wide and empty, the kind that made you feel small. He adjusted his coat and looked around. Lena Morales had told him to come alone. She also said not to bring any cameras or recording devices. Just bring yourself, she had said over the message line, and maybe some patience. He found her sitting on a wooden bench outside an old gas station near the edge of town. She wore a faded jacket and sunglasses even though the sun was low. Next to her sat a thermos and a folded newspaper she hadn't opened. You must be Ethan, she said without looking up. And you're Lena Morales. She finally turned to him. Used to be. There was something in her voice, like she wasn't sure if that name still fit. They shook hands. Hers was rough, like someone who had spent years working with machines. You sent me the video, Ethan said. I did, she replied. And I know what you want. Proof. Something real enough to show those aliens that we're not just tourists in space. Ethan nodded. We need more than what you sent. We need full footage, something they can't ignore. Lena took a slow sip from her thermos before speaking again. There's only one man who has the rest of it, but he doesn't talk to anyone anymore. Who is he? Daniel Reyes, she said. He was the pilot of one of the last surviving ships during the Ceres battle. He flew through hell and came out the other side. Didn't get a medal. Didn't get a story in the news. Just nightmares. Can you find him? Maybe, she said, standing up. But it won't be easy. He left everything behind after that fight. Dropped off the grid. Last I heard, he was somewhere deep in Colorado. Ethan looked at her. Then we go to Colorado. She studied him for a moment, then smiled slightly. You've got guts, kid. Let's see how long that lasts. Weeks passed before they found him. Not in a city, not in a town. Just a small cabin in the mountains, hidden under snow and trees. No power lines, no roads. Just silence. Daniel Reyes answered the door slowly. He was older now, with a beard and tired eyes. When he saw Lena, he didn't smile. He didn't frown either. Thought I'd never see you again, he said. Thought the same about you, she replied. He looked at Ethan. This him? The diplomat? Yeah, Ethan said. I'm asking for help. Daniel crossed his arms. Help with what? We need the full recording of the Ceres battle, Lena said. Not just the clips, the whole thing. Daniel's face darkened. Why would I give that to you? Because the galaxy thinks we're weak, Ethan said. They think we don't belong. This footage could prove them wrong. Prove what? Daniel asked. That we kill each other fast? That we destroy our own before anyone else gets the chance? Ethan didn't answer. Lena stepped forward. It's not about glory. It's about truth. And right now, the truth might be the only thing that gets us a seat at the table. Daniel stared at them both for a long time. Then he turned and walked back into the cabin. For a second, they thought he was going to shut the door. Instead, he called out, "Come in, but don't say I didn't warn you." Inside, on a dusty shelf, sat a metal box, scratched, broken, forgotten. Inside was the past, and soon it would become their future. Daniel Reyes sat on a wooden chair near the fireplace. The cabin creaked with every gust of wind outside. Snow fell in thick sheets beyond the windows. Inside, the air was heavy with silence. In his hands, he held the old data core. It was small, about the size of a brick and covered in scratches. Wires stuck out from one side like broken bones. Ethan Cole and Lena Morales watched him carefully. "This thing almost got me killed," Daniel said, voice low. "I should have destroyed it a long time ago." "Why didn't you?" Lena asked. He looked at her. "Because I knew someone would come looking for it someday." Ethan stepped closer. "We need to see all of it. Not just the clips you sent. Everything." Daniel shook his head. "You don't understand what you're asking for." He reached for an old box on the shelf. Inside were parts of old machines, broken screens, cracked drives, pieces of flight gear. He pulled out a small projector and plugged it into a battery-powered generator. The screen flickered to life on the far wall. "This is the real war," Daniel said. "Not the kind they show on TV. Not heroes and flags. This is blood. This is fear. This is what we did to each other before anyone else even knew we were out there." The room went dark, except for the glow of the screen. And then the battle began. Ships filled the screen. Human ships, some marked with Earthfleet colors, others with private company symbols. Explosions lit up the darkness of space. Debris floated everywhere. Comms crackled with voices, some shouting orders, others screaming. "Look at this," Daniel said, pausing the video. "See that ship, the US Marshal? Good crew, good captain, they tried to stop the fighting." He pointed to another ship. "And that one? Skyline Legion. They didn't care about peace. They wanted control of Ceres Station. They started the fight." Ethan watched as the footage rolled on. Fighters dove through wreckage. Missiles hit shields. People died fast and without warning. "There's no winner here," Lena whispered. "Nope," Daniel said. "Just survivors." He played more of the recording. A civilian transport drifted in the middle of the battlefield. It had no weapons, no defense. One of the warships fired anyway. Ethan turned away. This is worse than I thought." "You still want to show this to the aliens, Bayer?" Lena asked. Ethan nodded slowly. "They asked for proof. This is the only kind they'll believe." Daniel stood up. "Then you'd better be ready for what comes next." He walked over to a locked drawer and pulled out a second drive. "This one has the full logs, engine reports, comms, everything." He handed it to Ethan. "If you're going to do this, do it right. Don't hide anything. Don't edit anything. Let them see what humans are really capable of." Lena looked at the drive in Ethan's hand. "Once we send this, there's no turning back." Ethan met her eyes. "I know." Outside, the wind howled. Inside, the screen still showed the frozen image of two human warships firing at each other. No flags, no mercy, just fire. And somewhere in the stars, the galaxy waited. The lights of the Galactic Council chamber flickered as the playback began. The massive screen above the floor filled with static. Then a sudden burst of light, an explosion in space. Ethan Cole stood alone on the central platform, hands behind, his back, face calm but heart pounding. Around him, the alien council members leaned forward in their seats. Some floated, some sat on thick limbs, others simply turned their many eyes toward the screen. No one spoke. The war was about to begin, again, not with weapons but with truth. The recording opened with silence, blackness, then stars. Slowly, shapes appeared, ships, human ships, one moment peaceful, the next tearing each other apart. A voice crackled over the comms. "This is Skyline Legion Command. We are declaring full control of Ceres Station. Any unauthorized vessel will be fired upon." Then another voice panicked. "This is USS Marshall. We're reading armed fighters inbound, civilians still inside the station." Boom. A ship exploded. Metal twisted. People screamed. Some council members flinched. One being, made of shifting light, pulsed brighter. Another, a heavy insectoid with chittering jaws, tilted its head like it was studying something new. Ethan watched their faces. He had told them this wasn't clean. He had warned them. On the screen, fighter jets dove through debris. Missiles lit up the dark. One struck a civilian transport. It spun out of control, fire bursting from its hull. "Inside the cabin weeks ago," Daniel Reyes had said, "there's no winner here, just survivors." Now, that truth played out for the galaxy to see. A Virexian officer raised a clawed hand. "Pause it," he hissed. The screen froze. A human warship loomed large, its guns aimed at a damaged freighter. "What is this?" the Virexian growled. "A battle," Ethan answered calmly. "Between our own people. No aliens involved. No outside threat, just us." The Virexian leader, Virex Ka, leaned forward. His yellow eyes gleamed. "Why show us this?" "Because you asked for proof," Ethan said. "You wanted to know if humans could fight, if we knew war. This is our answer." Silence followed, long and heavy. Then another voice cut through. It came from a small, floating species known for building entire cities in space. Their voice was soft, almost musical. "We have seen many wars," they said, "but few so chaotic, so fast." A mechanical being added, "They turn on themselves quickly, like young predators learning their teeth." More voices joined. Some disgusted, some fascinated. Ethan took a breath. "We didn't come here to boast. We didn't come to scare you. We came to ask for a place among the stars." Virex Khan narrowed his eyes. "And what makes you think you deserve it now?" Ethan looked out at them all. "Because we've learned what happens when there's no peace. And because we want to choose something better." He stepped back. "But now you know. You asked for blood. You got it. Not from others. From ourselves." The screen blinked back to life. The battle continued. Screams, fire, death. And somewhere, deep inside the hearts of those watching, something changed. For some, fear; for others, respect. And for one or two, curiosity. What more could these humans do, now that they were no longer hiding? The silence after the recording ended was heavier than sound. The Galactic Council chamber had heard many things over the years. Treaties, declarations, even threats. But never something like this. Never a war fought by humans. Against humans. Some council members looked away. Others stared at the frozen image on the screen. A broken ship, burning in space. No flags, no clear winner. Just fire and fear. Virex Ka, the leader of the reptilian Virexians, stood up slowly. His long tail twitched behind him. His voice cut through the quiet like a blade. "You showed us your worst," he hissed. "And you expect us to welcome you?" Ethan, Cole didn't flinch. He stood tall, hands at his sides. "I didn't come here to impress you," he said. "I came because you asked for proof. This is it. Not our best day, not our proudest moment, but real. A jellyfish-like being pulsed with soft light. It was brutal," it said, "even by our standards." Another voice joined in, mechanical, cold. "Your kind kills fast, without order, without mercy." Ethan nodded. "That's true. We do." He looked around the room. "But we also learn. We've stopped that war, we buried it, and now we're trying to move forward." A pause. "Would you rather we lied to you, showed you fake battles, painted ourselves as heroes when we're not?" He shook his head. "No. We gave you the truth. Because if we're going to be part of this galaxy, we want to start honest." Silence again. Then, a new voice. One Ethan hadn't heard speak before. It came from a tall alien with smooth skin and deep-set eyes, a member of the Thalari race known for their calm minds and long memories. "We have seen many young species rise into the stars," the Thalari said. "Most hide their past. Most try to appear peaceful before they are ready. You did the opposite." He tilted his head. "That shows strength, or foolishness, perhaps both." More voices rose, some still disgusted, some still afraid. But now, there was also talk of change. One species, the Zorvani, were known for testing new civilizations by forcing them into battle. Now, one of their leaders leaned forward. "This proves something," the Zorvani said. "Humans fight. That much is clear. But do they know when not to fight?" Ethan smiled slightly. "That's what we're trying to learn." Virex Ka narrowed his yellow eyes. "You think this changes everything?" "No," Ethan said. "But I think it earns us a chance." The council went into debate. It lasted hours. Voices rose and fell. Some argued for full membership. Some wanted only observation status. A few still wanted Earth kept out entirely. In the end, the vote came. Green lights blinked across the screen. More than red. Humanity had been granted provisional status in the Galactic Council. Not full rights. Not full trust. But a seat at the table. As Ethan walked out of the chamber, a new voice called his name. He turned. Virex Ka approached, slow and steady. "You surprised us," the alien said. "That is rare." Ethan met his gaze. "Was it a good surprise?" Virex Ka smiled, a sharp, toothy thing. "We will see." Then he walked away, leaving Ethan standing alone once more. But this time, the stars above didn't feel so far away. The stars were no longer just something to look up at. They were watching back. Humanity had been accepted, not as equals, not yet, but as something the galaxy could no longer ignore. The Galactic Council had given Earth provisional status, which meant humans could send diplomats, observe meetings, and begin building real relationships with other species. But it also meant something else. They were being watched. Some alien nations sent envoys to Earth. Some wanted trade. Others came with quiet warnings. A few arrived with military escorts just to be sure. In Washington, D.C., Ethan Cole sat in a small room filled with maps, messages, and reports. His name was now known across the world and beyond it. He wasn't a hero. Not exactly. But he had opened a door that would never close again. Outside, the sky was clear. He looked up and wondered if someone out there was looking back. Lena Morales stood on a rooftop in New Mexico, watching the same sky. She held a cup of coffee in one hand and a datapad in the other. It showed news from space, reports of new human ships being built, of alien fleets moving closer to Earth's orbit, of quiet deals and louder threats. She took a sip and smiled, slightly. "They're taking us seriously now," she said to herself, but she knew what that really meant. Not peace, not safety, just a new kind of danger. Daniel Reyes stayed where he was, in the mountains, away from the noise. He didn't care about politics or first contact. He had seen what humans could do when left to their own devices. He hoped this time would be different. He wasn't sure it would be. Back at the Galactic Council chamber, Virex Ka spoke in private with his top officers. "They surprised us," he said. "That is rare," one of his generals nodded. "Should we prepare for war?" Virex Ka thought for a moment. "No, not yet. But watch them closely. Humans bleed fast, and they learn faster." A Zorvani diplomat visited Earth soon after. Tall, pale, and cold-eyed, he met with Earth's leaders in a secure room. "We respect strength," he told them. "But we fear those who rise too fast." He paused before leaving. "Be careful," he said. "You are no longer invisible." On a deep space station near Mars, a new human-built warship finished its final tests. It wasn't meant for attack. At least, that's what the report said. Its weapons were powerful. Its engines were fast. Its name was simple: USS Frontier. And it was ready. Ethan stood beside Lena as they watched it launch from the viewing deck. "You think we did the right thing?" he asked. Lena didn't take her eyes off the ship. "We gave them the truth. That was the right thing. What they do with it, well, that's on them." Ethan nodded slowly. "And what about us? What do we do now?" Lena finally turned to him. "Now, we prove we can play the game without starting a war." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "That's the hard part." She patted his shoulder. "Yeah, but at least now we're in the game." As the USS Frontier disappeared into the stars, Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a player, and the galaxy had just learned one thing for sure. Humans might have been late to the table, but once seated, they didn't plan on ever leaving.